Hey guys, out here doing some filming today at the range, and I thought I'd do a kind of a comparison on some common carry guns, and we're talking about the subcompact size gun. And there's obviously some that we left out. I left out the Glock 26. I left out the Smith Wesson Shield. A few, so we're just comparing these three 3.5 models. And when I say 3.5, what I'm talking about is we have a Glock 43. When we bought this one, it was before the Glock 43X had come out. And so that's why we chose the Glock 43. It was the option at the time. Anyways, it was one that Amanda Lynn liked the most. Now, if you were doing it, you would get the Glock 43X. There would be, I don't know why anybody would buy a Glock 43. They're effectively the same size. But anyways, that's where we're at with this. So let's go over the kind of high points, low points of each of them and the pros and cons. And then I'm also going to tell you, I have this all written in a blog article for our website, and I'll put the link to the article down in the description of this video so y'all can take a look at it, and if you'd rather read it, then you can get the information that way. I know sometimes I can get a little bit long-winded, and so if you don't feel like listening to me, you can go down there and check that out. Okay, so let's talk again. We talked about Glock 43. Okay, so Glock 43 right here. There's basically the same thing as Glock 43X. Glock 43X is slightly bigger, very, very minimally bigger. The dimensions, again, are all in that article. But it is just a touch bigger, but it does hold substantially more rounds. The standard magazine for the Glock 43 is 6 rounds. The standard magazine for the Glock 43X is 10 rounds. Now, obviously, you can get extended magazines for each of them, but even with extended magazines, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's an 8-round magazine for the 43, and the extended for the Glock 43X, I believe, is either a 12 or a 13-round magazine. So there's a substantial difference there in the actual ability to carry rounds, and you really don't sacrifice anything on size for them. So there would be just no reason to get a Glock 43. We keep it because we've already bought it and we have it for our classes, but that's all we use it for. Nobody carries it anymore. It's just solely for our classes. Okay, so let's kind of talk about the differences here. So again, we've got the Shadow Systems CR920. We've got the Glock 43/Glock 43X, and we've got the Smith Wesson CSX. Okay, there are some advantages and disadvantages to each of these. Let's go over them. Okay, so obviously the Glock and the Shadow Systems are fairly similar. Those are both striker-fired guns. They're built on the same platform. Shadow Systems basically stole Glock's platform and made it better. Arguably better, I guess. There's some features about the Glocks that are better, certainly on the Gen 5s with the ambidextrous slide release, which Shadow Systems would adopt that. But again, that's left-handed people, we just kind of get used to things not being our way. And I shoot right-handed anyway. So, okay, so the CSX, right, so this is a 1911 style gun. Let my slide go forward. So for those of you that don't know, 1911s, you should never let the slide go forward on an empty chamber. It ruins your sear, and I don't know the internals well enough on this one to understand. I assume it's got a sear because, again, it's a 1911 style. Anyway, so we have our our standard kind of trigger there for 1911. I'm facing into a berm, guys. So standard trigger there for 1911. You got kind of a nice, reasonably crisp break. It's still not great for 1911. Usually 1911s are a lot crisper. And if we talk about like even this Glock, our break on this Glock is actually about the same as that. So I'm not particularly impressed with that trigger. And if we go with our Shadow Systems actually has kind of the cleanest break of all of them. And so the trigger pull, subjectively, Shadow Systems is my favorite. And then the CSX is definitely on my bottom end. The other thing about the CSX is realize it's a single action, so it's carried cocked and locked with the safety, right? So neither the Shadow Systems nor the Glock has a safety. If you like a safety, you can get the Smith Wesson Shield with the safety. We can go over safeties in another video on whether you need them or not. I'm not a huge fan of safeties for beginning shooters, which is kind of counterintuitive, but again, we can talk about that in a separate video. CSX has a big advantage going for it. There is a rebate right now, so you get 3 spare free magazines if you mail in the rebate, which is kind of nice. So we've got 6 magazines for this gun. 1 standard, which is a 10-round, and then the other 5 that we got were all 12-round magazines. So kind of a nice little tidbit there. The Shadow Systems and the 43X have more holster options available, but certainly it was not hard to find holster options for the CSX. There are plenty of suppliers out there, so even though there's more with the 43X, it wasn't like it was difficult to find them. Like when you have newer guns, like I have a Wilson Combat SFT that I can't find holsters for to save my life, which is kind of a pain in the ass until it gets a little bit more popular. So there's some options there, guys, for them. So don't let that hold you back. Just realize that it may not be quite as plentiful for the CSX. The big thing on the CSX, and my big detractor for this one, is actually the trigger on it. And it's not pulling the trigger so much as it is the reset. Oh, safety's on. Again, you got to get used to safety. I'm not used to having a safety. You got to get used to the reset of the trigger, and the reset is the problem here. There's actually a false reset. So if I let it go forward, I hit the false reset, and it actually takes, you have to pretty much let your finger entirely off. You can't ride it forward until you hit the reset wall on there. So why is that a problem for me? Well, it's a problem because when you start shooting really fast and you're doing competitions or defensive shooting, you actually, what we tend to do, or what we should be doing, is not letting our finger off the trigger all the way, but just letting that reset go, and you let your finger just out enough to go to the reset and then back in. Okay, so this is one of the things that you learn in a defensive shooting course or even a competition course. Okay, so we want just enough to reset the trigger and then we're back in. What happens is newer shooters, they go like this and they'll take their finger completely off, or they'll go all the way to the front of the trigger guard and they do it like that, and that moves your gun a lot, and it's slower. So when we start talking about really, really fast shooting, as we're trying to kind of beat the trigger, right, beat the clock, then all of a sudden that reset is actually a problem, because I feel like, there we go, see now it goes. I feel like I'm hitting it the first couple times I pull it. So that's the issue that I have with the CSX, and that alone is why I would never recommend this as a carry gun. From a beginner standpoint, the reason that we keep this one, actually, that we bought this one initially, is not because we like the gun or intended to carry it. We bought this one because we use it at the range for our women's classes. And when we do our women's classes, we teach with different styles of guns so they can see, because a lot of them have never held different types of guns, or they have a gun new that has a safety on it and they don't know how to manipulate the safety. And so we go over a lot of that stuff. And so that's why we got this gun specifically for those classes. Now, again, the weight on them all is right around 18 ounces. So it's like, I think the 43 is the lightest at like 17.8. The rest of them are all about 18 ounces. So no substantial difference. The size difference on them all is negligible. The carryability, the wearability of them all is negligible difference. Shadow Systems technically touts that they have a match grade barrel on their guns. I know the Glock Gen 5s have added that as well. I don't know if they did on the 43s, on the smaller pocket rocket sized guns, but either way, it's a moot point. You're not gaining any accuracy on the barrel this short by having a match grade barrel, and I'm not even sure that a gun like this can actually be measured match grade accuracy, because just simply the barrel this short is just not that accurate. So you have to put it in a ransom rest to really know the difference. As far as round count, round capacity, the Shadow Systems, they tout 13+1. I'll be honest with you, I actually do 12+1 on all the magazines because 13+1 doesn't seem to fit. It just pushes that spring a little bit too much. So that's why I've been sticking at 13+1. Once they've gotten broken in, and the springs have loosened a little bit, I've been able to get that 13th round in there. So I'll carry it once they get broken in. But when the magazines are new, 12+1 it's hard to get that 13th one in there. Even with with one of those little handy loader things, those cheater loaders. Again, 43X, you're looking at 12+1. They're all 10 rounds with the standard magazine. The 43X is 12+1 with the extended magazine, and the CSX is 12+1 with the extended magazine. The one thing I will tell you is the difference on the extended magazines. The CSX has by far the best extended magazine. If we throw an extended magazine in there, it doesn't add hardly anything to the end of it. It actually is just that little itty bitty spacer in there, and I don't know if y'all can see that, but that little itty bitty spacer there, that's all the difference in the magazine. So very, very negligible difference. Whereas if we're talking about 43, there's a difference in our magazines, right? One's a lot bigger than the other, so there is a noticeable difference, and so it changes the carryability of the gun. Going from a CSX to a 12-round magazine doesn't change the carryability of the gun at all. I don't even know why they make a 10-round magazine. There's no difference in it. Again, you have just that couple millimeter spacer in there. Now, the one thing is they put that spacer in there so you don't have any over travel, but that spacer being loose on there, we've had issues with them falling off. We've had issues with them kind of riding up, and then you're fighting with it as you actually slam magazines in. So if I was going to be carrying this gun, I would end up actually gluing that into place and keeping that there on the end of the magazine. Why they didn't include that as a one-piece base pad just to save a few bucks is a little bit ridiculous in my eyes. Okay, moving on to the optics, sights on the guns. Obviously, Glock 43X, you can get it with the RMR cutout on it so that you can put a red dot on there. The Shadow Systems already has your cutout on it, excuse me, if you get the Elite model. If you get the Combat model, it's which they're discontinuing. It does not have that cutout on there. You'd have to send your slide off to have it done. But they're like I said, I believe they're discontinuing the Combat model. Now, the sights on them all, so the iron sights on everything, the Shadow Systems is by far the best. The Shadow System, you actually have true combat sights where you have a front tritium blacked out rear. Those are really, really nice sights. And in fact, I would take these sights and put them on a Glock all day long. I love these sights. They are by far my favorite from a factory, and I think they're exactly what I look for when I buy aftermarket sights anyway. So I like green optics or green sights a little bit better than red. So there is that advantage there if you understand how your eyes pick up things. Some people seem to pick up red better. Mine pick up green. I have not ever found a noticeable difference running it on the range, but I just like it better. So it is what it is. If you wanted red, I suppose you could probably swap it out. The Glock has standard Glock sights. We can see we've swapped these ones out because I swap all my Glocks out because Glock sights suck, and you never stick with factory Glock sights. So very plastic. The night sights they put on there are okay. They're kind of just a cheap Meprolite one. I like blacked out rear, and I'm not a huge fan of fiber optic on the front sight. I've tried them. That's what's on this one. It's not generally what's in my carry guns. Generally what's in my carry guns is tritium front sights. Now, the CSX is one step above the Glock as far as the factory sights that come on it. So you can see the factory sights that come on there are those typical M&P 3-dot sights. They're reasonable because they're metal, and so you actually have a metal sight, so it's not going to break on you. But those 3 dots are a crappy combat sight, and obviously they're not tritium, so they're not glow in the dark, and they just are kind of a poor choice for sight. So they're one step up from the Glock, but they're barely a step up from the Glock. So I would take these over that factory, but the truth is, if I was going to carry either one of them, I'd push both sights out of there and get good sights. So the Shadow Systems does have a leg up because you don't have to spend $100 immediately and get new sights. Shadow Systems is a little bit more. The MSRP on this one is about $500. The MSRP on this one is about $600. The MSRP on the Shadow Systems is about $700. So there is some price difference between the three of them. From a practical standpoint, I found the Glock 43X today on the internet. So what am I, November 1st, I found the Glock 43X for $470. I found the CSX for $600, and I found the Shadow Systems for $700. So those are kind of the going rate deals for them. Obviously, you can shop around and save a little bit on them, but that was kind of what I found this morning, just looking at different sites, Cabela's, Guns.com, Sportsman Guide, etc. So those are kind of the general prices that I found. All that being said, guys, what questions do you have for me? Go ahead and post it down in the comments. I know we didn't get to everything on these three guns. What gun would I pick? Shadow Systems, hands down. Glock's my second choice, and I wouldn't carry the CSX unless I had absolutely nothing else. The CSX I'm not impressed with. The Shield is a much, much better gun. CSX is garbage because of that trigger. It's just, and it's a garbage platform, truthfully, having a small, I like 1911s, guys, but small size 1911s suck to shoot. So I would personally not use this one. Anyways, guys, I'm going to let y'all go with that. And like I said, if you have any comments, any suggestions, or anything that you want to know, post it down in the description or in the comment box, and we'll talk.